But right now, I'd like to introduce our first guest. Mike Zisman is the president of GolfGenius.com, which is a golf tournament management company. Golf Genius software helps people like you and me and other people put on tournaments to streamline the method of putting on a tournament, but they also have just recently entered into an agreement with the USGA for similar business activities that they're going to be doing with golf tournament management and software implied therein. And Mike, thanks so much for being with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit, first of all, about Golf Genius and how it got started. It sounds like you're a computer whiz, you're a mathematical genius, and you love golf, so you thought you'd put the two things together. I could be wrong, but
nope,
it sounds like...
That's pretty close. I couldn't say it much better myself. My background is in enterprise software. I've been at it since 1970, so I'm not a young man exactly. But I'm a very passionate golfer, which is not to be confused with being a very good golfer. And you're absolutely right. Back in 2009, I was always the guy putting the annual golf trip together. 5 guys going off to play, 16 guys going off to play 5 rounds of golf, and, figuring out who plays with whom each round so that everyone's playing with everybody else, and playing a Ryder Cup in rounds 3, 4, and 5, and, John and Tom always play together in round 1, and I had a background in scheduling and wrote a system for scheduling players in golf outings, which is actually now available for free on GolfGenius.com. And that led to, well, that's nice, but that doesn't really solve someone's problem. You need tournaments, you need group accounting and stuff like that. So we provide all that in our golf trip product, which is more of a consumer product. People find us, find us and do it. And that led to software for golf leagues, which instead of being 16 golfers playing 5 rounds of golf, it's 60 golfers playing 25 rounds of golf. So even more complex scheduling problem. And that led to very comprehensive tournament software for, private clubs, public courses, and resorts, which is a large part of our business and was the basis of entering into a relationship with the USGA. That's kind of the crib notes of what we did and how we got here.
And you now have an agreement with an arrangement with the USGA, which is going to mean what? So people are going to automatically think, oh, is that going to entail USGA? It's certainly big time events in U.S. Open and major event. Are you guys going to be involved at that level, or is it going to be a partnership with the USGA for them to do more grassroots in the communities that they're in and different tournaments, or a combination of both of those things? Yeah. Big tournaments and smaller tournaments?
Yeah, great question. So it really starts with the USGA for a long, long time. I mean, probably 25 years, has had a program called their own software development called TPP, Tournament Pairing Program, that's provided to all private clubs, public courses, resorts that use the GIN handicapping service. So I happen to be a member of Marion Golf Club here in Philadelphia. Marion, pays handicapping fees to the Golf Association of Philadelphia, and as part of that relationship, Marion gets the use of TPP. And that's a fairly old desktop program, and the USGA, like many people, the USGA really, to their credit, built that when there was nothing else out there in the early 80s. So they had to build it, and then an industry formed around it, and there's a number of companies who provide tournament processing software, and they decided to, outsource it. Why, as I like to say, they don't make putters and they don't make drivers. Why are they making software for tournaments? So they decided to outsource that, and we were fortunate to work with them. So initially, to your question, our software will be available to every club, a basic version of our software, but a highly functional version will be available to all clubs that use GIN handicapping service, which is many, many thousands of clubs. We are also, working directly with the state and regional golf associations to support the kinds of tournaments they do, which is kind of the open qualifiers, the mid-am qualifiers, the tournaments they do. And, at some point, perhaps we would work on the major events like the Open and stuff like that, but that's a ways off. So initially the focus is on replacing TPP that goes out to, thousands of what are called GIN clubs, clubs and courses that use the USGA handicapping service.
We're talking with Mike Zisman, who's with Golf Genius and Golf Management and Golf Tournament Management, and the agreement you have with the USGA. Also, you talk about different levels as well. Am I right on this, that you can have the tournament management as well as a premium level? What's the difference between those?
Yeah. So think about it this way. There's three stages in which people can use tournament management software. Traditionally, for a very, very long time, it was really about helping someone organizing a tournament create the pairings. That's why the original program was called the Tournament Pairing Program, and produce all the printed materials. So if you go into a pro shop when they're running a large tournament, there's obviously scorecards and cart signs and bag labels and locker labels and alpha lists and tee sheets, and team reports. There's all sorts of reports that a pro shop needs to run these tournaments. We call those printed materials. And for many, many people, it stops there. I wanted to set it up. I created all the pairings. I produced the printed materials. So it's really about less work in the pro shop. The next stage in which people use a product like this, whether it's ours or someone else, is for actual tournament scoring. So you can be ability to create, in our case, lots of different tournaments. It's an outing, and we're going to play best two balls of foursome, but we're also going to play low gross and low net and skins. Or it's a member guest where we're going to play one round of alt shot, one round of both balls, one round of best ball. So very complex tournaments. And although they don't use it for live scoring, they will, set up the tournaments, enter the scores as people come off the course, and the system does all the scoring, which is very, very important. The third stage is where you say, hey, wait a minute, let's enter the modern world here and let the players have live scoring, let the players enter their scores hole by hole as they're out on the course and be able to look at the leaderboard in essentially real time. All right, so a lot of people think of us as the live scoring guys, and we're pleased about that. But I always remind people, there's a whole bunch of events by which you just want to print the materials, right? And then there's where you want to score the tournament, and then there's live scoring. So to answer your question, this base product that comes with Gin Handicapping produces all the printed materials, does all the tournament scoring, and very importantly, and something I believe in very strongly in terms of growing the game, is extensive support for golf leagues. I think in a public course, golf leagues are literally as close as a public golfer gets to the camaraderie of a private club. They grow the game, and for a course operator, frankly, they generate a lot of food and beverage, because most leagues are shotgun, and after that, people are hanging out in the pro shop in the grill room. And by the way, if you have a large TV showing the leaderboard, they're going to hang out even more. So the base product does all the basic printing, all the scoring. What it doesn't do is live scoring, live TV leaderboards, our registration and payment system. So it has some of the very advanced features that many private clubs and courses will want. But we think that a lot of courses will be very happy with the base product. And then, just to put it in perspective, besides that part of our business, let's call that business to business, right? Our customer is a private club, a public course, or a resort. All the major resorts use our software. Now, there's the consumer side. I mean, we still have thousands of people who use us to organize buddy golf trips. And thousands of guys or gals, but mostly guys, who organize golf leagues, who are public golfers and use our software to manage, that league that plays every week all summer.
It's a lot of stuff going on that you're right. Without the ability to use Golf Genius, it makes things very complicated. You guys certainly streamline it and make it a lot easier. We're talking with Mike Zisman with Golf Genius. Getting to what you're just saying about the buddies, is this used or can it be used, the software, anywhere in the world? If you and 10 of your friends are going to Ireland, Scotland, and play a little bit of golf, can they use it effectively?
Absolutely. In fact, that's a very common use. It's amazing how many trips we see to Scotland. And for that, it's great, because what happens is someone comes along and says, hey, I'm planning trips. So we're not the travel agency, right? We're not telling you where to go. We're not telling you what courses to play, or where to get accommodations. Assuming you've already done that, and you got typically I got 16 guys, I'm the captain. I'm the guy who has to organize all this stuff. I now know where I'm going. I know what courses I'm playing. You can come to Golf Genius and say, I want to create a trip. here's the 16 players, here's the courses we're playing, and you may say something like, if you were playing 5 rounds of golf, so bear in mind, if you play 5 rounds of golf, you'll be with 3 people 5 times. There's 15 other golfers. You'd like to play with every other golfer once. And every other golfer would like to play with every other golfer once. We call that a perfect pairing. But you may say something like, I'm setting up a tournament. We're going to play a Ryder Cup in rounds 3, 4, and 5. So I have 2 teams of 8. And I want to play, A, B, C, D in round 1. You click a button, and we'll produce the pairings for each of those 5 rounds. From that, they can print the scorecards before they go off. They're probably not going to print card signs and stuff like that, but they'll at least have all the scorecards properly dotted. When they get over there, they'll probably use us for live scoring. And so they're, out on the course. Everyone's seeing all the tournaments. We keep track of all the betting, right? So it's not unusual if you go on one of these trips. Everyone says, okay, everyone's going to pick a number, $100 in the pot. That's $1,600. We're going to, decide how that gets paid out over a bunch of different tournaments. One of the nice things about our product is you can play multiple tournaments. You can be playing a Ryder Cup and in the same round play, 4 balls, best ball of pair as well as singles. And then the other thing we have, and it's amazing how many people love it, is our group accounting. Right, because someone has to keep track of all the common expenses. It's like, Monday night we went to dinner, Mike paid for dinner, but John wasn't there. He shouldn't pay. Here's where all the car rentals were. Here's all of the expenses on the course. And honest to God, one time speaking of Scotland, I was on a golf trip to Scotland with 7 other people. And when it was all over, I got to Edinburgh Airport. There was about 40 minutes before the plane boarded. I just pulled out all the receipts, entered all the receipts into our group accounting system, pushed go, emailed it to everyone else, and everyone was laughing. By the time they got off their plane back in the States, they already had a complete expense accounting and knew who owed what to whom. You can even incorporate all the betting in that. So all the betting, you don't have to go off to Scotland with a bunch of cash. It all gets rolled up into the expenses.
Wow, it's fascinating. It's amazing. It's shocking to me too that people are betting while they're playing golf. I had no idea, Mike, that was even. I thought it would shock you. I thought it would shock you. I had no idea.
Thought I'd get it on the table. And speaking of that, quite honestly, so obviously no one's surprised at that. But what does surprise me, quite honestly, is how many private clubs do pari-mutuel betting in their large member and guest events. So we have a whole pari-mutuel betting system, which is not part of our USGA product because the USGA doesn't really condone that. But it's a lot of support for pari-mutuel betting in private club events.
It probably cuts down on a lot of fights too, because it's all right there and it's all mathematically done and correct, and it's nobody's going to argue about. You owe $20. You don't owe. Hey.
It's funny you say that, actually. Where that really comes down is the pairings, right? When people argue about and without this, you get into the situation. Mike, you organized all this stuff, and I played with Jim 3 times. I never played with John, right? Yeah. So you have that problem because the reality is on a golf trip, if you're not in what I'll call the Hooters type of trip, like we play a round of golf and go to Hooters, if you're a serious golfer, you're going to play probably 2 rounds of golf a day and have dinner and go to bed. So if you were in one of my foursomes and I'm not sitting next to you at dinner, you find yourself on Sunday morning say, geez, how is everything? I never really talked to you, right? But what I love is someone says to me, they often joke around, they'll say, when people tell me, well, they don't like the pairings, I just look at them and say, well, the computer did it, right? Exactly. Don't blame me, the computer did it. But we can produce, people are astounded at the kinds of schedules we put together that has everyone playing with everyone else.
That's awesome. Great information. Mike, we appreciate it. Mike Zisman's his name. Golf Genius is the software in the company. If you want to know more about it, simple enough, go to golfgenius.com and you can find out all the answers or most of the answers that you're looking for. If you're putting on a tournament and want to be involved or want to get this involved at your club, if you may not have Golf Genius there already. And again, for trips to anywhere that you and your buddies are going to go, small, large groups, it seems like it would be a perfect thing to accommodate everybody on those trips. Mike, thanks so much. It's really fascinating, and we'll talk to you some more down the road, okay?
Thank you. Take care. Thanks for having me.
Okay, sure. Goodbye. Thank you. Again, Mike Zisman with Golf Genius. Very cool stuff. And I seriously think it can avoid a lot of problems because All that math gets a little bit confusing, and somebody thinks somebody else owes $50, and it can get ugly. So now it's all computerized, makes it easy.